Hey guys, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. So today I'm going to start a new reading challenge, like a reading vlog, but I want to do this thing where people read it, they keep reading and reading and reading, and they film a vlog and it doesn't stop until you actually read a 5-star book. I don't know if I even have any 5-star books really in my TBR or like on the hauls that I in the book, in all of the recent books that I have purchased. I'm really hoping I do. I mean, based on some of them and like other reviews, I'm really hoping so. I'm thinking I might want to just go straight into Yellowface and see if this is a 5-star. I know it's 5-star for a lot of people like it, and then or they rate it a 4-star, so it might be more of a 4-star for me. I'm not just going to say, oh, this is a 5-star to cheat. I literally just want to find a 5-star. And if this is not a 5-star, I will keep going. So I think I'll read that one in this vlog. I'll also try to go through Emily Henry book lovers if, you know, I don't get anywhere. And then I have How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. I couldn't tell you if it's going to be a 5-star, honestly, but I'm kind of interested and intrigued to read that one. So I've got that one as well. And I've also got Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. Obviously, if none of these are 5 stars, I'll carry on reading all of my August TBR, and then I have a bunch of other books that are not in my TBR. Maybe I'll pick up one of those, or I feel like picking up one of those just to reach, because I don't know how long this vlog is going to go on for. It might go on for like 2 months or something. I don't know. So yeah, I think these are like the first few books that I feel like I want to read. So most likely I'll jump into these first. If none of them are 5 stars, we'll just keep going, but I thought I would start vlogging this because I don't know when I'm going to post it, because I don't know when it's going to happen. So yeah, let's get into it. Hey everyone, as always the lighting is terrible. I do apologize. I mean, if I just turn around like this, yeah, maybe you could see me a little bit better, or maybe not. I mean, it's atrocious. Okay, never mind. I am going to start. I actually just finished my other vlog, so I feel like I can officially move on to reading until I read a 5-star book, as I said in the beginning. So I just pulled 3 books here. One of them I've just been having lying around, and for some reason I have avoided reading this one. So I've got Magpie by Elizabeth Day, and then there's this one, Rhythm, Chord, and Mannequin. So I had one of you say that you've read Mariana Zapata before, and so I thought maybe I'll give this a go, and if I like this book then I'll pick up another book of hers. So this one I think is a romance. I think it's going to be an easy one, and it's a nice floppy book, so I figured not many books that I have are floppy, or I just go straight in with like Yellowface. I feel like this could potentially be a 5-star. So I feel like if I start with that one, it's technically cheating unless I really don't like it. But a lot of people are giving it 4 to 5 stars. So I feel like I should probably read one book before I read that one. That one might not even be a 5-star. I'm definitely thinking Magpie won't be, but you never know. And then there's Rhythm, Chord. I think I'm feeling like a lighter read, I think, at the moment. So I think I might just, yeah, I was kind of looking at this. I wasn't going to even read this. And then I just went into my room, and yeah, I feel like I kind of want to read this now. We just watched the Gardens of the Galaxy Volume 3, and I cried my eyes out. Oh my gosh, several different parts of that movie. If you have seen that one, oh my gosh, what were they thinking? Why did they make it so sad? It was like literally the tears were streaming down my face. Maybe I'm just, I don't know, maybe I'm losing it, but I felt like that was so sad. I did enjoy it more than the second one. I definitely feel like it had a lot of heart, and I feel like it was done well. Hey, so I just wanted to do a little update. I actually finished this book last night. I didn't think I would, because when I picked it back up, I was only on page like 50, and I just thought, okay, let me read a little bit, because I thought, okay, you know, it's like a nice, easy book to read. And I read the whole thing. I was up till 1:30. But here's the thing. I don't know what to rate this, because it's not an amazing book. I wouldn't give it a 5-star. I wouldn't even give it a 4-star. But I can't deny that I did enjoy reading it. So it's one of those weird books where I have loads of issues with it. I've kind of looked into this author, and she's pretty well loved. and a lot of people just say this is not her best book. So I can't really judge her on this book, but it basically follows the story of Gabby. She's 26 years old. She goes on tour with her brother, her twin brother, who is in a band, and they go on this musical tour for 3 months, and they are with another band who's headlining the tour, and you know, they share a tour bus and whatnot and everything, and lo and behold, she basically builds a friendship with the singer of the other band and, you know, lusts after him, and it's like a romance, right? So she's 26, like I said, and all of the band mates in her brother's band are around that age, and the guy that she kind of crushes on, Sasha, is 27. So like they're all around that sort of age. But the book feels very much like high school vibes for me. When I was 26, I didn't speak to people like this. I didn't know people who spoke to people like this. It was only when I was like a 16, 17, 18-year-old that I knew people who spoke like this to their friends. So in my opinion, it was very strange because they seemed very immature in the way that they spoke to each other, and it just seemed very young. So when I got to like the page like 70, I think it was like 76 or something, I was thinking, damn, I'm gonna need to DNF this book. I can't read this book anymore. But I persevered. I was like, okay, maybe it gets better, maybe it gets better. And I think by like the midway point, the book is about 300 pages. It's 298, so yeah, just under 300 pages. Midway point, I was like, okay, maybe it's getting a little bit interesting. So I persevered, and then it did get better, and finally get into the romance towards that part of the book, and it starts heating up. He wants to show his book, Soup Potato. And The Night of the Living Veg. We're not talking about children's books, although this one was very juvenile. You know, it's just one of those things. I found it quite hard to read sometimes because of the way that they interacted with each other, and I didn't feel like it was realistic. I felt like they seemed a lot younger than they were. However, as you get into like the romance and the crushing, and you know, that I generally got hooked, and I enjoyed that part. And you know, there was a couple steamy moments, and long story short, I had no idea what to rate this book. At first, I was going to rate it a 2.5. But once I started getting into it and enjoying some aspects to it, I was thinking, okay, it's got to be in the 3s somewhere. It's definitely not a 4, but I don't think it is. I don't think technically I could give it a 3. So I'm giving it a 3.5. So yeah, so I got to carry on because obviously I haven't found a 5-star. I actually did start reading The Magpie by Elizabeth Day the other night. And I actually started tabbing it because straight away I thought this might be a book that I will enjoy. So I was a little bit worried about this book because of some reviews that I had read. I think I mentioned that in another video, but I picked it up because I was thinking I want to read something dark, something thrillerish, and this is I think what it's gonna be. So I'm not that far into it. I'm only on page 33, so really not that far into it, but straight away we're following the girl. What's her name? I think her name is Marissa or something. I think it's, yeah, Marissa. And she goes and finds this guy online. They fall in love, and within 3 months they're moving in together. And her best friend is like, whoa, okay, I'm happy for you, but don't you think this is a little bit fast? And she's being really obnoxious and dismissive towards her friend. And, you know, she moves out. It's like her roommate, her best friend. She moves out. And obviously, because we're in her mind, we kind of know what she's thinking, but she's basically saying, well, I know this is the end of our friendship because she doesn't understand me. And she thinks that she's like better than her friend because she's found this guy. I'm getting a lot of narcissistic vibes from her. So I think this might be a narcissist. There's a little bit of history about her and her mother. Her mother walked out on her and her father when she was about 7 years old with her sister, and it was like a baby sister. She just left one day and never came back. And she has resentment towards her sister, and even before her mother left, she had resentment. I mean, this is all within the 33 pages of the book. She all has like resentment towards her sister when she was born, and you know, she even like took a needle and poked her just to see if she would cry when she was a baby. So there's like these twisted thoughts in her mind straight away, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, so we're following a woman who has a little bit of like, she's got some, you know, things going on that's like kind of eerie. So yeah, I'm going to be reading this one, and I do have Yellowface out. I will also read that one at some point, maybe this week. But I kind of just want to see how this one goes. I'm hoping it doesn't disappoint me, but most books do. Hey everyone, it's the morning, so excuse how I'm looking, but I was reading Magpie last night, and I'm on page 253. I actually, I stopped like in the middle of a chapter. I was like, I'm too tired, I need to go to bed. But I read a lot last night. I think I read like 100 and something pages. I just got really into it. I've actually been tabbing this one, I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but okay. I think this book is going to be hard to talk about without giving spoilers. So I'm going to try to talk about this book spoiler free, because I do think that it's not fair that I spoil every single book that I talk about on my channel. And it's a thriller, and I just, yeah, I don't want to ruin the experience for anyone else. So having said that, it's going to be extremely hard to talk about this book because there are like some twists, and I'm just like, how do I talk about this book? The one thing I will say is that you get like two different perspectives. The first perspective is Marissa, who I think I spoke about. She's met Jake, and they move in together like 3 months, and she's like, has like kind of a twisted, sorry, my son, you want to be on camera? There you go. See, there you are. Anyway, so she's the one that I spoke about. She has like a twisted mind, and like some of the things she says in the beginning of the book, which I was tabbing because I found it kind of interesting, like, but some of her thoughts are really morbid and kind of creepy, and whatnot. And then we get into part 2, which is we're in the mind of Kate, who is the lodger. So basically this story, and that's not a spoiler because that's in the back of the book, basically Marissa and Jake are together, they move in, and then basically he tells Marissa, you know, like, my deals aren't falling through with my job, got a little bit less money, we kind of need a lodger just to pay the rent because, you know, they're kind of falling behind on that. So she's like, okay, fine. And then Kate is basically the lodger, and she moves in with them. So then we get into Kate's perspective, and then we start seeing everything in a different way. That's as much as I'll say, really. It's basically, you know, can you trust the narrator or not? Like, you're not really sure, like, what's going on. But aside from that, I'm not going to say anything else. It is a good book. I don't know how I'm going to rate it, honestly, because I do think, what is he doing in the background? I think I'm enjoying it. Obviously, I'm tabbing it, and I have been enjoying it. There is some moments in the book that are, I would say, I would definitely call a trigger to people who have struggled to get pregnant or been through, you know, some trauma around that. I've got about 70 pages left, and I'm going to be reading it this morning. It's like, what, 8 something in the morning. I'm just with my son. And yeah, I don't know what to rate this. I'm enjoying it, but it has like, there's moments that has like, I wouldn't say like surprised me, but like I wasn't expecting, but I feel like other people might expect it. I don't know how, like, the twists and turns, I don't know how predictable they are. I just read it as it is. I kind of just didn't try to like figure out what was going on. I was just enjoying it. I am hoping in the last 70 pages that there's another twist. Hey everyone, so I thought it would be good to give an update before I completely go through this book, because I'm already halfway on Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I'm on page 152. out of like 300. So yeah, I'm pretty much like halfway. You can see this. Can you see if I do it like this? I'm like at the halfway, almost halfway, I would say. Whatever. And I have been tabbing a little bit, but you know what? I just wanted to give an update because I'm reading this really fast. I just started today. I'm already halfway. It's really not a hard book to read. I took the jacket off because it was getting a little dirty. The whole reason I started this vlog is because I want to continue reading until I read a 5-star. I find a 5-star book. And this is not it. This is not a 5-star, unfortunately for me. I don't even know if it's going to be a 4-star. I don't hate the book, but I also am just not... I don't know. I mean, I'm like going through it super fast. So it's not like I can say I'm not enjoying it, but I'm not loving it. So I don't know what I was expecting. Like, she says the craziest, like, absurd things that I don't know anyone in my whole life would ever even think to say, let alone actually say. Like she says the worst things. Like, she is a true idiot and terrible person. Like, terrible person. But that doesn't make the book interesting for me. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm hoping from this book. So that means most likely, unless in the last half of the book it turns around and suddenly it's going to be a 5-star. I don't know. Maybe it just gets crazier and crazier. I don't know. Oh my gosh, I never told you about Magpie. Okay, so let me tell you about Magpie. So I'm sorry. So I don't have the book with me, but I finished that this morning, and it didn't go where I thought it was going to go. There, you know, it literally just, it was like the first half of the book is a completely different book. And then the second half, you have obviously you still have the lingerings of the build up, but it just falls flat. Like, I don't know what Elizabeth Day was thinking with that story. I don't know what the point was, because I feel like all of the tension and build up was up until like the middle of the book, or like the first three, like 2/3 of the book or whatever, or if you think about quarters, like the first 3/4 of the book, and then the last part of the book, it just completely falls off a cliff. Like, there's just like, oh, okay. I mean, it's, I don't know like, I'm just thinking in my head, because I read her acknowledgements and like how she was thanking all her editors and stuff, and I was just thinking, how could they say, yes, this would be a good ending to a book? I gave it a 3-star, or I think it was a 3 or 3.5. I can't remember exactly what I was thinking this morning. I have to double check. I mean, I don't know. I put a 3 on Goodreads, but I'm not sure really if it's going to be a 3 or 3.5. I'm very disappointed with it. I was really hoping that it would have that twist. I know I spoke to you this morning. I was really hoping it would have that twist, and it did not have that twist. And so, yeah, that was not much fun. But I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to like catch up, because I hadn't catched up, and I'm reading this super fast, so I'm just thinking I'm gonna be done, and I haven't even like told you I'm reading this. So yeah, and then I gave you an update on Magpie, which, you know, I could probably do a better like update tomorrow sometime, but right now I'm just like not thinking about that book at all, because I'm like into this book. Hey guys, so I actually ended up finishing Yellowface last night. It didn't take me that long to finish the book, I have to say. I know I spoke to you like midway through, but I just like kept reading. And it's a weird thing, because I read that book pretty much in 1 or 2 settings. Like, that was it. I read it all yesterday, and I'm disappointed in the book, and I'm disappointed that I don't know. I was expecting something amazing or something great. I unfortunately have had to rate it 2.5 out of 5. I know that is the lowest so far for this week, and I did not expect to give it such a low rating. I thought, before I read it, I thought it was going to be definitely a 4-star, had potential to be higher, just from what everyone else was saying and all the reviews I've seen, and I just thought, you know, maybe this is going to be like a great read. I just thought that there would be something extra, something to make this book spark, you know, and just be different. I did tab it a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know. So I've moved on. So I give an update. I have moved on. It is another day so that I started reading Book Lovers. I spoke about tomorrow, but yeah, last night I know that I said I was going to move on to that one, but that's not even in my August TBR. I completely forgot that it's not in my August TBR. That one could be a 5-star. I might have to resort to reading that, but this is in my August TBR, and so I thought, okay, let me just pull this book. I mean, this is going to hopefully be a nice, easy read. It's Emily Henry. It has great reviews. It came out last year, and I've never read an Emily Henry book. I've only read one chapter, I think, or actually, I've only read the prologue. So she meets Charlie, who I'm assuming is going to be the love interest. I mean, he's on the blurb, so it's obvious that. And he's an editor, and they meet, this first time they're meeting, and she has a book from one of her writers that she represents, and immediately they kind of dislike each other. He doesn't like the book that she's proposed, blah, blah, and they're kind of snarky to each other, but already I feel like there's some, like, flirtation there, so you know, I think it's setting up for a decent read. So yeah, I've just read the prologue. So I'm only on page 15. I haven't even, like, and it starts with 2 years later from when they first meet. So that's that. I don't even know the last time that I spoke to you. I feel like I'm in a reading slump. I have been reading Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I am on page 128. I feel like I should be enjoying this book, but I'm reading it and I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just not getting fully into it. I don't think there's anything wrong with the book, but I think coming off of Yellowface, I think maybe I mentioned this or I haven't added the clip, but I feel as though I was disappointed because that book was so hyped. I think I just read it so fast and was so disappointed that it didn't live up to the hype, my expectations, or even the price that I paid for the book. You know, that book was pretty expensive. It was I think one of the most expensive books that I bought so far in all of my hauls. And I don't know why. And I'm kind of like annoyed by that. So I definitely feel like I'm in a reading slump. Obviously picked this up thinking, you know, I'll really enjoy it. It's a lighter read. But going from Yellowface, which is all about the publishing industry and literary agents and everything, this one is that as well. This, you know, I think I knew that, but I don't, obviously it's called Book Lovers, but I think going from Yellowface to this, where we're still like talking about the industry and talking about books and literary agents and editors, and there's so much of that in Yellowface, I think I'm drowned. I think I'm just like, I'm glazing over the text. I think it's too much for me. So while this has like a cute love story, I mean, I'm expecting it to. Charlie is definitely the hottest boyfriend so far I've read in any of the books that I've read. I mean, he's not a boyfriend, but he's like the hottest one. I just think his, like, I don't know, he vibes with me, right? And so I should be enjoying this book. I'm not enjoying this book. So I might, like, I hardly read last night. I mean, I read a little bit last night, but I didn't read as much as I thought I would read. And I just have, I'm feeling like I don't want to read. And I don't know if that's like, I've been like looking at, some people say book hangovers, when you read a good book and you can't find another good book. But I mean, I think I'm the opposite of that. I feel like in this vlog in particular, the last week and so, because I've been filming this vlog now for a while, it's been a while, none of the books that I've read recently have even been a 4-star in my mind for my like pleasure. So I'm struggling because I really need a win. I need a hit. Especially for this particular vlog, I'm trying to reach like get a 5-star, but I haven't even got a 4-star. So I did grab this yesterday, put it next to my bed. I might end up getting into this a little bit. However, it's a big book and I'm not sure I have the mental capacity to fully invest myself in that book. So I think what I'm thinking is I might grab another book. All right, so I've just done all this. I think this video is going to come on after I do that or before. I don't really know. But I have this book, which is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. Now, I don't think this will be a 5-star. It could be a 4-star though, because it's kind of suspenseful, I think. It's Daisy Darker's family were as dark can be. When one of them died, all of them lied and pretended not to see. So Daisy Darker is arriving at her grandmother's house for her 80th birthday. It's Halloween. When the tide comes in, they'll be cut off from the rest of the world for 8 hours. When the tide goes out, nothing will ever be the same again because one of them is a killer. I just think this is going to be a fun read. I'm hoping that it is. Like, even if it's a stupid fun read, I think that's kind of what I need right now. I just don't need to be reading about literary agents at the moment and like books and things like that. I will come back to this because I am enjoying it, but I can tell you right now, if I continue reading this, I will not give it a high score, even if it deserves one. So I need to get out of my reading slump and then go back to this because I might end up giving this a 4-star. It might be one of those books where I really enjoy, but right now I know I'm too negative and I cannot give it a higher score. So I can't keep giving books 3 stars. I just can't. So I'm gonna read this. I'm hoping that it kind of like breaks the cycle that I'm in. I just want some cheesy thriller, silly nonsense, and this kind of sounds like it's gonna be like that. I'm not gonna take it too seriously. I'm not gonna like, you know, look into it too much because of what it is. I'm just gonna try to enjoy it as best I can, and if I enjoy the book, then I will most likely give it a higher rating. I'll be in a better mood, and then I can go back to Book Lovers. Or I could try it tomorrow, but I think if I tried tomorrow, I will just end up reading it but not like fully investing my like feeling into it like I have started with Book Lovers. Well guys, it happened. I finally have finished this vlog. I was reading Book Lovers and it has happened. I am giving this a 5-star. I know the last time you saw me I was really down in the dumps and I was like, I'm in this reading slump, I'm not able to enjoy anything, and that was still the case. But sometime yesterday afternoon, I was feeling a bit better and I was like, you know what? I really feel like reading. And obviously I was reading these 2 books. I actually did start reading Daisy Darker. I know I mentioned that I was going to start reading it. I only got to page 25 in this book. So I really haven't got that far in the series. I really haven't got that far in the book. And you know what, last night I just felt like I want to read like some romance. I want to pick up Book Lovers again. I want to see if it changes my mind, and I'm so happy that I did, because this I am going to give a 5-star. However, it's really not for the reason that it's supposed to be. Like, this is obviously a romance book, and although I think Charlie, who is the love interest, is so, you know, kind of sexy, I do like him in this book. He is like one of the best things about the book. I don't really think that it's the best sort of romance book that could be out there. However, it's the best one that I've read in a long time, and I'm gonna give it a 5-star, not because of their romance, because Nora is our main character, and you know, she's not supposed to be that likable as a person, or it's always about like how she's not the right one, she's not perfect for men, and she's more of this organized one, and she's tall and everything. She's like the opposite of what men want. In my mind, honestly, I think a lot of men want tall blondes, and that's what she is. So I don't know, when I was reading I was like, are you sure? But you know, maybe there's some truth to that. I'm not sure. I'm not a tall blonde, so I do not know. But you know, she's incredibly attractive, and she's slim, and she's athletic, and she's got an amazing job. I think a lot of men would be intimidated by her, and I think a lot of that was kind of referenced in the book. And Charlie is not intimidated. He like adores her. He just finds her like the sexiest thing alive, and you know, they're literally perfect for each other. They like the same things. They love books. They love editing books. They work on a book, and that's basically the story. So their romance is nice. I do like it, and there were parts in the, you know, I did tab it a little bit. There were parts in the book that I thought were really sweet, But I think ultimately what made this book stand out to me, and I have to give it a 5-star, is not the actual romance part, but it's like the heartbreak part, or like there's like some heartbreaking moments in here, or some tender moments, like some sad moments. Like there's like sadness in this book. All the blue is like sadness, you know? So a lot of the book, when you're starting to read it, there's a lot of references to her mother. Like she and her sister grew up without a father, and they were with a single mom, and their mom was everything to them. And Nora, she is a little bit older than her sister, so sadly her mom passes away. I don't really think this is a spoiler, but you know, if it is, I'm sorry. Her mom passes away when they were children, and she ends up really taking care of her sister in a way without even necessarily needing to, but she puts that responsibility on herself. And even at 32 years old, she's still putting that responsibility on herself. Even though her sister is married with children and quite capable of, you know, being an adult, she still sees her sister as this little sister that she has to take care of. And so they go to this old town, you know, sort of quaint little town somewhere in the middle of nowhere, because it's based, you know, it was Sunshine Falls, a place that Nora's like writer that she works with, because she's a literary agent, she wrote a book about it, and it was a very successful book, blah blah blah. Anyway, it turns out that's the hometown that Charlie's from. And he's like a city guy. He loves the city just like Nora does. They love New York. Like, they could be the complete opposite of what they've ended up being. But they end up there together, and they can't get away from each other. So there's all of that. That's kind of like what goes on. And there's this big love between them. Or like, you know, I want you, but I can't have you, and all this stuff, you know, and it's not right, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway. But I ultimately like cried in this book. I don't know what it was, but maybe I just was in the right mood last night to read this, because I started at like page 160 something, and you know, like that's not even like halfway. So I was like, okay, I'll read a little bit, and then I just got into it, and I was like, okay, fine. And then at like 280, I was like, okay, maybe I'll just keep reading, and I just kept reading and reading and reading, and I finished it like past midnight. So yeah, I finished, you know, majority of the book last night. I would say the first third of this book is uninteresting. I don't think it captivated me, but the second, like the rest of the book, the last 2/3 of the book were better, and obviously you get more into the romance. But I think it was like that achingly sadness that, I don't know, I think the thing is, Charlie seemed to be more of a realistic person to me, and I could picture who he was as a character. I found it hard to picture who Nora was, really, in terms of not like physicality, because you kind of know exactly what she looks like, but I didn't find her ultimately a realistic person. I don't know what it was. Or maybe it's just because I didn't really warm to her, and maybe that was the point. But I warmed to Charlie, and he had a sensitivity to him that he hid, but Nora did too. But I think with Charlie, there's, I don't know, they both have some sadness to them. They have some loneliness. They have some heavy weight that they put on their shoulders that they feel like they're responsible for. And I think ultimately what made it sad at the end for me was more his story than her story. I don't know if that's meant to happen or not, but I definitely felt more for him and what he was going through as opposed to what Nora was going through. But it's not like a sad book. I'm not going to say that, but there was like moments of tenderness and sadness and heartbreak in here, and that's the part that I really loved. And so I was like, because I think about the middle of the book, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is gonna be another 3-star. And then I got like swept into it. If I were Nora, I would have left everything behind and run after Charlie, but you know, that's just who I am. So I'm not a Nora. I'm different to Nora. She you know, is very focused on what she loves, and she loves New York City and everything like that. I think maybe I didn't like her because I'm just more like follow your heart, and you know, everything else will fall into place, which I think a lot of people are like, and a lot of people are not like that. So I don't know. Regardless of what I'm saying, I don't know, I'm just waffling at this point. I'm giving this a 5-star. I think it deserves a 5-star. Now, if I'm going to read another romance and it's like better than this one, I might have to bump this down to a 4.5. But right now, there is no other romance that I can think of that I would say this is you know, they're better than this, especially recently. I read The Dead Romantics a few weeks ago, and I gave that 3.5. I think there was a lot more heart into this. I preferred the writing style as well of Emily Henry. I just think this was a much better, well put book. I think reading it right after Yellowface, when that's all about publishing, was a bad thing to do, because I read 2 back-to-back books about writing books, and that did not interest me. But I think ultimately I'm very happy. To recap what I read Rhythm, Chord and Malakin. I do think this is a good book. I gave it 3.5. I think it's more towards the younger side, honestly, of adult. I think I'm a little bit, like, maybe 5 to 7 years older than when I should be reading this book. If I were in my 20s, I think I would enjoy this more. But I did enjoy parts of that book, and they lingered in my brain, so I'll give you that. And then Magpie was disappointing. I do think the last third of the book was like, what? You know, I think what happened was they had a good story, they had good build-up, and then they just let it all fall and crumble in the last third of the book. I don't really know why they did it like that. I think ultimately I was disappointed in the suspense of it. I really wanted it to go a completely different way, and it didn't, so that was a shame. So for me, I don't think I'm ever going to be the type of person who is going to agree with people who say Yellowface is a 5-star book. I gave it such a low rating, and I do feel bad about that, because I know a lot of people love this book, and I think that's great. If you love a book, you love a book. If a book makes you feel something, that is great. I think, though, this book could have been a million times better. Keep the premise, keep the messaging, but I just think it could have been better. And honestly, I don't think that the writing was as good as everyone says that it was. I have not read her other books. I know she has written like more fantasy style books, and I think this is the more like the first contemporary book that she's written. All the people who already like Rebecca Kwan probably went into this loving her other books and seeing what else she can do with her style. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. I hope people don't come at me and hate me for saying this. I just didn't enjoy this book. I don't think that it was done well. And I feel bad for saying that because of what it is about. Trust me, I do feel bad for saying that. I wanted to like this book. I spent £17 on this book. That is an awful lot of money to spend on a book, on an author that you don't know. And it's not even a long book. So this is like the most expensive book that I've purchased in the last couple months. And I just feel really disappointed in it. I feel unsatisfied in it. And you know, I'm not going to take away from the fact that there are moments in the book that are kind of fun. Like, the protagonist is awful. She's a hideous person. And you're like, it's like reading a car crash. Like, it gets worse and worse and worse. But there was less enjoyment for me in reading that than I think for other people. I think I was expecting something different. I think the whole middle of the book where they're talking about Twitter and social media went on for way too long. I just didn't care at that point. What is this book trying to do? I think there was too much in here for me to enjoy it the same way that everyone else enjoyed it. I feel really bad. I feel like I'm missing the boat. I feel like I missed something in this book, and people are gonna hate me for it, but I wanted to like it, and I knew what it was gonna be about. I was expecting just a lot more grittiness in it, honestly, with some satire, because I knew there was like a little bit of comical stuff. And I think the first like third of the book, I think it starts well. I think it starts well, it sets the scene. While it was an interesting premise, I just think it missed the boat for me, and I just feel bad for saying that. I really do, because I know a lot of people love this book and it's in their like top favorites and stuff like that. I think it was very meta. I think the fact that publishing just chooses a book a year and a half before it's released that's going to be a bestseller, they push all this marketing and they tell everybody it's going to be good, it's going to be good, it's going to be good. I think that's what happened with this book. Does anyone else see the irony? I think that's what happened with this book, and then we're thinking like, well, actually no. Wait, what is so good about this book? It has a good message. Ultimately, it does. It is interesting because you do kind of learn about how publishing works. I did learn some things, but I just wanted more. I think at the end of the day, and I would never be able to give it a 5-star. I couldn't even give it a 4-star. I was really hoping to give it a 4-star. I couldn't. And I think I'm just gonna end the rant here because I don't want to keep going on about this. So yeah, I am pleased. I actually ended up reading 4 books and a little bit of Daisy Darker, but I won't really count that one. So yeah, 4 books. The 4th one, thankfully, I'm giving a 5. I do think that it deserves a 5, and I'm definitely interested in reading more from Emily Henry now that I know what her writing style is like, because I kind of enjoyed it. I just didn't think that Nora was the best character for me to like, but I do like the way she wrote Charlie. So if she writes any of her other men in her other books, as well as she writes Charlie, then, you know, we have similar taste, you know what I mean? So I'm just gonna leave it at that. And yeah, that is the end of this vlog. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.